It's Wednesday, and I'm back. The holidays here are sort of wearing everybody out. Uh, Everybody looks forward to the holidays, but at the same time, uh, the holidays tend to take their toll. A lot of time spent interacting with friends and family, uh, more so than usual, and not always because you want to. Uh, but it is the holidays, and here we are. Uh, I had a meeting with my group that I usually meet with on Wednesdays. We discuss marketing and some mutual interests in things like reading cards, tarot cards, that is, and yeah, various and sundry other things as they come up. We're also, well, of course, we're also discussing marketing. We're in at least one program together, and they were not real. How do I say? Energetic today. They're all kind of still from the holidays, but don't get the wrong impression. They're all very much reformed as far as alcohol is concerned, and most other things as well. They've gone through quite a change, quite a transformation. I've watched them do that over the past few years, and boy, have they come a long way. They're just tired. You hold down your job, you do all these holiday preparations, you spend all this time with people who, well, they're family, they're friends, you care about them and so on and so forth, but sometimes there's a certain amount of stress involved in that too. So anyway, things were kind of slow on that front today, but given the circumstances of the planets and just sort of the general feel for what's going on, it's not real surprising. I'm certainly glad I'm not one of those folks who has their life savings tied up in 401ks and the stock market these days. That is taking a plunge. And it's a plunge that both I and a number of other astrologers who look at mundane things like financial markets and stuff like that have been predicting for quite some time, at least as far back as maybe 4 or 5 years ago, because the the influences coming together now suggest a very a crisis, pretty much, in the financial markets now and in the whole financial system. The thing is, this crisis also suggests a restructuring. Now, whenever there's a crisis, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about some sort of natural disaster or something in the markets or something in politics, or diplomatic changes, there are always those who benefit from them, and there are always those who suffer from them. Right now, I don't see where I have a whole lot to lose in the markets. My position is very small. But there are people who stand to gain or lose a great deal in these markets, and the markets are definitely turning bearish, as you can tell by the hemorrhage in the value of stocks over the past couple of weeks. Now, fortunately, this kind of thing doesn't happen every day. And on the other side of it, as the restructuring kicks in, there will be amazing opportunities. So, keep your head. Don't panic. Minimize your position in stocks. Unfortunately, everybody's trying to do that now. And to do that and get out with at least part of your shirt, you need to realize that it's a market. You can't sell if there are no buyers. And you can't buy if there are no sellers. Right now, there are lots of sellers and not very many buyers. It's driving prices down. It's the way a market works. This situation will probably be with us for about the next year. Don't expect dramatic improvements anytime soon. Hopefully, some of you will find this information useful. I'm thinking that it will probably confirm information you're getting from other sectors. But, I mean, the other thing to consider is that there are always people there are always opportunities in which, even in a terrible market, you can do well. There are people who went through the huge crashes of 1929 and 2008, and hey, they're ahead. They're ahead of the position they were in before the crashes started. They took advantage of good opportunities, and they played their cards very carefully. It's not impossible. For the average person, without a lot of savvy about how these things work, for the person who just sort of dumps some money in their brokerage account or in their 401k and says, that's the way I do it. I'm not going to be any more involved in it than that. Well, your funds may be at risk. But I didn't really intend to start talking about the markets for this video. Mostly I was noticing the sort of depressed is too strong a word, but the sort of subdued energy of a lot of the folks that I've encountered around me, my little discussion circle, and some of my neighbors, and some of the people I've seen when I've been out to the stores. I have to buy groceries, I have to eat. And it's sort of a subdued kind of feeling out there right now. New Year's is coming up. I'm sure there will be parties. I can only caution you not to overindulge, or if you're planning to overindulge, be in a situation where you have a chance to sleep it off before you have to go anywhere very far. Don't get blown out and then go try to drive. That's just not a good idea. DUIs they're kind of bad news. I mean, I haven't driven in years because I have poor peripheral vision. I mean, generally my vision's okay, but I don't see enough of those little flashing lights on the sides when you take the driver's test. So they say, nah, we can't give you a license. But then, a couple of times, some of the instructors have come up to me and said, well, we could get you a waiver for that. And I'm saying to myself, I really think that there are people on the road who don't see as well as I do, who probably shouldn't be there. And it just doesn't make sense to me if I'm not, up to snuff as far as being able to drive is concerned, to put me out there. It's an expensive proposition, owning a car, insurance, fuel, and miscellaneous, repairs and improvements and warranties and all this other kind of stuff. I mean, the car is basically a big investment. You know, however, for many of us, for most of us, in the society we live in, a car is an absolute necessity. You got to have it. I mean, you can get by without it, but there are a lot of situations where you just, it's a necessity. Things are not conveniently located anymore. Now we have these, monster shopping centers and supermarkets, whereas we used to have corner grocery stores. Most neighborhoods you could walk to the store and back, no problem. I still walk to the store. It takes me half an hour. It's about 2 miles away, but yeah, that's not too bad. 2 miles. It's not a big deal. So anyway, I live reasonably close to the bone as it is. Now, I have to admit, I live in a fairly nice house. My girlfriend had it built before I met her in, I think, 2003. It's a nice place. We're having to stretch a little bit to hang on to it, but yeah, I think we're going to manage. And she drove up until about 3 years ago. She lost her vision, unfortunately. And so then, since I don't drive in the first place, we don't have transportation anymore. Now, if we want to go anywhere, I have friends that I talk to. Sometimes, if it's convenient for them, they'll do it. I mean, I don't like to impose, but they're friends. We spend time together. We do things together. And every now and then, they'll help me out. Fortunately, there's this new service called Lyft. I also have a sort of like a regular cab service in the area that's not too expensive. I try not to impose on my friends or take paid transportation like cabs any more often than I have to, but you got to get around. I know that in my previous history, in my job history, my career, if you want to call it that, there were a lot of times where nobody ever said it, but I'm sure that I wasn't considered for a position because I didn't drive. And then there were, of course, the jobs where they require you to drive, and they say that up front, and there's no point for someone like me to apply for them. So I've had to be kind of creative about a lot of things in my life. Obviously, I've managed, and now that I've discovered, I'm discovering and working on correcting mistakes in my approach. I'm working on success, and I'm trying to share that with those of you who are interested in my videos. I believe we can all succeed together. My whole the whole thrust of these videos has been, be all you can be. And I try to give you what I can of value from the astrology, from what I've learned from the self-help seminars, from what I've been learning in terms of marketing, and I believe it will all come together for us. Right now, as far as my videos are concerned, I'm in a little bit of transition. I just worked through some personal difficulties as far as taking the appropriate action to support having success. And I've been working on some things for you, getting resources together, and it looks like I've about hit the 15-minute mark. Basically, this has just been sort of a, yeah, I'm still here, I'm back, and I'm still trying to share things that I hope are valuable to both of us. I'm in the process of reorganizing. In fact, a couple days ago, I did some cards, and one of the things that came up was 3 2s. Now, for those of you who are familiar, you may already know that that means recommendations and reorganization, and that's exactly the process that I'm in right now. And I am writing a book on oracles, which will be available through my website, and as a resource. It's not going to be terribly expensive, and for those of you who read cards or would like to learn to read cards, I believe it will prove to be a very valuable resource. And now I have gone over my time a little bit. I apologize. I try to keep it short and sweet, 15 minutes. A couple times I've run almost a half an hour. Not the best practice. But anyway, I will continue to be here, and look for me on Wednesdays. I can't always say when on Wednesday, but Wednesdays. Have a great day. Have a great rest of the holidays. Be careful about your investments, and keep on taking action that leads to success, that leads to being all you can be. Later.